All right, so while the vast majority of our purchases are in cash, we've also found solutions where there can be a win-win for both the buyer, myself, and the seller. And so here's a couple rundown of some methods we've used to net you more money or make the deal a little bit simpler. Let's do this. So let's talk about the aspects of selling a home and the things that are sort of levers in a transaction. That's a really good way of putting it. All right, so in real estate, there's a lot of things that are negotiable when it comes to selling your home. So I'm going to give you each of the levers of the machine, we'll say, that we're talking about. So we've got the type of financing we're using. So we'll have that be our left lever over here. And the options we have are using a cash purchase. We can do a form of seller financing, and that has multiple options inside of it, depending on down payment, interest rate, your total monthly ongoing spend. Another option is something called subject to purchase, and this is where we can buy your property, but we leave the mortgage in your name. And so there's some pros and cons to that. I'll go a little bit more in depth in that in a few minutes. Another option is using a form of hard money or a delayed financing, and we can kind of go through that. And that's where we'd flip the property, we'd buy the home, flip the property, but we wouldn't pay you until the home is actually fully flipped. So these are sort of your four methods of financing. Another lever is possession. And so if we buy your property, you say you're ready, you want cash right away, but you don't want to move out for quite some time, that's your possession time. And so that lever, hopefully we get the property at closing. Every day beyond closing detracts from the value of the home for us because we have to purchase the home but not get it right away. But we've bought properties where we've had possession of 1, 2, 3 weeks. I actually bought a property in Muskegon and the possession was a year. That was a long time. But multiple properties where it might take 1 or 2 months to have that possession time for the seller. And that can be for free or paid. Another lever is the actual close date. If you want us to close in 3 or 4 or 5 days, we have to go through a lot more work. It's a lot more stressful for us and for you. And so that lever of the close date can allow us to sometimes pay more or a little bit less for the property. So when you're able to choose your close date, whether it's fast or slow, that can dictate a little bit of what the price we can pay on the home. Another aspect is what is the condition of the home in terms of the personal possessions left over. And so we'll call this like the rubbish lever. And so if there's nothing in the home, if it's broom clean, ready to go, we can just kind of buy it and then resell the property. That happens. But you might also have a whole bunch of stuff in your property and you don't want to move it out, right? You're not able to move the stuff from the basement. There's a bunch of crap in your garage from your family. You don't want to deal with it. Then our lever's at 100%. So that does cost money. It takes time. And so we're able to put that sort of in the transaction is do you want to leave everything behind? And their very last lever is sort of contingent on all of the previous levers that I've shown. And so the lever we have over here is the price. And so depending on the terms, the possession time, the condition of the property, and how fast we need to close it, that's going to dictate the price we can pay for the property. And the neat thing is, as a seller, you can move those levers around as you see fit. So I'll give you a real example. I met with a client in Grand Rapids on Tuesday, and the client was considering selling. The property's probably worth $170,000 or so. They're 3 years from retirement, and they're not really ready to move, but they're also aware that the market is hot right now. They'd like to unload their equity while they have some available, and they want to save and move for the future, but they weren't sure of some options. So they've already indicated they're ready to sell the property for $150,000. It's a good price. It's a good price. I don't think I can pay that because at the market discount for us, it's just not quite enough. So we were sort of coming up with some more ideas. And I said, what if we buy the property and lease it back to you for a period of time? And so that's that possession lever that we talked about. And they retire in 3 years. So I said, what if we lease the property back for 3 years at some price? And now we've created sub-levers that they're able to choose the monthly price. Do they want to pay $0 per month, $1,000 per month? And what impact does that have on the price? And so we actually came up with 2 scenarios that they liked both of them. I'm meeting with them again later this week to discuss. Basically, after their mortgages have been paid off, we would pay their mortgage, and they'd either net no money, which sounds kind of bad at first, but that option means they get to keep the house for 3 years and not pay any rent on the house. So they get to stay in the house for 3 years and live there for free. And if the furnace breaks, we'll pay for it. If the roof leaks, we'll pay for it. If the house collapses, it's our problem, not theirs. And that's a really neat thing that we're able to structure a deal like that. And then during that 3-year period, they're able to save at a huge rate because they don't have a mortgage or any home expenses to worry about. The second scenario netted them $25,000. And so when we closed the property, they'd get $25,000 cash. They'd still have 3 years possession, but if they wanted to stay, their monthly rent would sit at $2,000 a month, which is pretty expensive for the area. The market rent's probably $1,500, but they were willing to pay a premium because it's their home. They've lived in it for 29 years, and they have the flexibility to choose when to move out. And so I'm not sure which option they're going to take, but it seems very likely that they're either going to choose the option where they net nothing and they get to live for free for 3 years, or they get $25,000 and they can rent the home for, I think it was $2,000 a month. So two very sort of creative options, both of which they're able to leave everything behind in their home. So they've asked in both situations that when they move out, we donate their personal possessions. They've got very nice possessions, but we donate those to Restore, a local charity. So we'll arrange that pickup and then also clean out the home so they don't have to worry about that at all. So when it comes to selling, find somebody that's creative, that can come up with alternative solutions that's just beyond that, cash purchase or putting the house on the market. That's the way a lot of people think is, should I put the home in the market or should I sell to an investor? But when you work with an investor, there's 100 different options you can work with that are creative, that gives you more flexibility for price, time, repairs, possession, leaving your things behind. And I wish I had an electronic screen in front of me where you could move the levers around and see what you can net. And unfortunately at this time, the only way to do that is to meet with us, because those are very complicated when it comes to deciphering, what's going to be the best for your situation.